Hello students, this is Miss Dalton, and this video is on how to multiply matrices by hand. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to need to check the dimensions to make sure that you can multiply them. So if I'm going to multiply A times B, I need to look at the dimensions of A, which if you look at dimensions, you always want to do rows by columns. And if I look at matrix A, this has 2 rows by 3 columns. And then I need to check matrix B. Well, matrix B has 3 rows by 2 columns. When you multiply, you want to check the order. So we're taking A and we're multiplying it by B. So they're in the correct order. What you need to check is you need to check to make sure that the columns in the first matrix, they need to match the rows in the second matrix. And they do. So these must match. If they don't match, then you won't be able to multiply them and you would say it's undefined, or you could say it's not possible. Now, when you multiply these together, the outside dimensions represent what your answer is going to be. So my answer is going to be a 2 by 2. Okay. Now, what are the steps when we multiply matrices? Well, this is what you need to do. If I'm going to end up with a 2 by 2 matrix, then it's going to look like this, right? You're going to have 4 elements. You're going to have something here, you're going to have something here, something here, and something here. Well, each of these places have a spot in the answer. If you look at the answer, this is my row 1, this is my row 2. This is my column 1, and this is my column 2. When I want to find this number right here, I'm going to take row 1 of the first matrix, which is this one right here, and I'm going to multiply it by column 1 in the second matrix because it ends up being in row 1, column 1 of my answer. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to take that row and kind of turn it and put it right next to these columns. So this is -1 time, and then 2, and then -6. And you're going to take each of those numbers that are beside each other, and you're going to multiply them together and then add them up. So I'm going to do that work over here. So I'm going to take -1 times -6, and I'm going to add to it 2 times -1 and -6 times 7. So this is 6 minus 2 minus 42. And so when I add all of that up, it would be -38, and that's going to go right here. Again, to get this answer, I'm taking row 1, and I'm multiplying it by column 1 because I need the answer that goes in row 1, column 1. And so you just take the row and turn it sideways, and then multiply it by the numbers that are right next to it, and then add them up. Okay, so then now if I'm going to do row 1 times column 2, that's going to give me this number right here because that's in row 1, column 2. So if I take row 1, which I have already written right here, and multiply it by column 2, the numbers that I'm going to have is -1 times 4 plus 2 times 3 plus -6 times -4. And when I add all those up, that would be -4 plus 6 plus 24. So that's going to be 26. And that's going to go in this spot right here. The next number is in row 2, column 1. So let's go ahead and erase this row right here, because I'm not going to use that row anymore. And now let's write down the second row. So now I'm taking row 2 and I'm going to write it right beside it. So 3, -1, 4. And if I'm multiplying row 2 times column 1, I'm going to have 3 times -6, -1 times -1. I'm going to add that. And then 4 times 7. So what I have there is I'd have -18 plus 1 plus 28. So that's going to be 11. And that's going to go in this spot right here. Okay, last but not least, I need to take row 2 and multiply it by column 2 so that I can get row 2, column 2's answer. So row 2 is this row up here that I just wrote down, and column 2 is this one right here with the arrow. And so I'm going to multiply 3 times 4 plus -1 times 3 plus 4 times -4. So that's 12 minus 3 minus 16, and that would be, let's see, that would be -19 plus 12, so that would be -7. And that's what goes right here. And this would be your final answer. This matrix would be your final answer. Again, multiplying, you have to have those inside dimensions that have to match. And then your answer is going to come from those outside dimensions 2 by 2. Okay, hopefully that helps. I like to use this strategy where I write the row right beside it by the columns that I'm multiplying at times. It just seems to help just to look at those numbers. I'm a visual learner, so I need to see that. So I hope this helped.